Hey everybody, it's your old pal Mike. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe, and welcome back to the channel. We got a fun one for you today. I say that a lot. I don't know if they're actually fun, but they're fun for me, so I think that counts. Next to me, I've got a box from my friends at Harmony. Harmony is a company that not only do I love and appreciate, but I've worked with a few times in the past. If you've been around the channel at all, you might have seen my Data Harmony Silhouette that I've used a couple times on the channel. You may have even seen me in Harmony's own promotional materials for the Harmony Silhouette when the new version first debuted a few years ago. In this box, I've got something that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you've been around the channel at all, you know that there's one thing I have wished for with regard to my own Harmony Silhouette, and this is the thing that takes care of that wish. So without further ado, let's open this box. Oh, I'm so glad there's no circus peanuts in here. Just a little bit of that. Very minimal packing material. That's okay, because we've got a mono case. And these things are super serious. I'm very excited to lay eyes on this. Very excited indeed. Oh, and it's the good color. They're all good colors, but there was one in particular I was hoping for, and it is this. Friends, introducing the Harmony Silhouette with a Bigsby. It's actually still kind of in tune. Not totally. Pretty good, pretty good. First impressions of this thing are pretty good, but before I tell them to you, I want to let you know, once again, explicitly, Harmony sent this to me. They wanted me to see this. Although I think this is just a loaner, I don't get to keep this. Maybe if I'm a good boy, they'll send me one, but I don't know. But bear that in mind as I give you my impressions that may be coloring my perspective on this instrument, as well as the fact that Harmony is paying me to make this video. I'm going to try and be as honest as possible, while also understanding that I'm going to need more time with this than one video will allow, because I don't really like to just review things that I just got. I like to spend time with instruments. So, setting your expectations, this is just going to be an unboxing and first impressions. Alright, so first impressions here. This feels very familiar to me because I own the Hardtail version of this guitar. Now, I did make a modification to my own with a mastery bridge, but the bridge that comes on these stock is actually pretty great and solid, and I only really changed because I felt like it. This is no scientific reason. I just really wanted to see if the mastery made a big difference, and I happened to like this one a little bit better. However, otherwise, these guitars are almost identical. We've got the same electronics, the same gold foil mini humbuckers, the same scale length, same locking tuners, same neck shape, actually. They feel pretty much identical. I am not really detecting much of a difference here. Let me feel it right at the nut. Mine might be a little bit thinner, front to back, but not in a way that's going to mess me up. Honestly, this isn't much heavier than the non-vibrato model, and I do love this guitar. I love how it sounds. I just wish it had a vibrato, so this is a godsend. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, the big difference between these two, other than the color, is the Bigsby, and I'm really excited to see this on this guitar, mainly because, honestly, all of my hardtail guitars in my collection, they just get played a lot less than everything else. I always reach for a Jazzmaster, I always reach for a guitar with a vibrato first, and every time I don't have one, I reach down here and there's nothing to grab onto. So it shouldn't be a surprise then that I am really happy to see a Bigsby on this guitar. But the question remains, how is it set up from factory? And is this from factory? I actually don't know. But I am seeing some scratches on this. So this one might actually be the loaner that they sent out to everybody else, which is fine. There are some scrapes and scratches around here. There's some buckle rash, a couple dings, nothing on the neck, but otherwise, it seems like it's in good shape. And maybe I'll give it a setup and a heavier set of strings. If you've got a vibrato-equipped guitar, be sure to stretch your strings. That's the first enemy of tuning stability. I can tell this might also need some lubrication. I think, like most other factory-equipped Bigsby guitars, this is going to take just a little bit of extra work to make it perform the way that it should. And that could come down to breaking the spring in, that could come down to recutting the nut, that could just be a worn-out set of strings that I need to change them for something else, which is something I'll plan on doing anyway, because I'm not going to have a great time on 10s? They've got to be 10s. So yeah, this might take a little bit of extra work right out of the box, but I tend to expect that. And it should be noted that Harmony is making a very good guitar right out of the factory. Every single one that I've picked up has been fantastic. This is just my first impressions of this one right out of the box. Yeah. See, now that I've worked it in, it's doing a lot better. Yeah, I think with a little bit of extra work, I think this is going to break in really nicely. Although this experience is actually answering one question that I had while I was watching everyone else's videos. And it seemed like when, and no shade to the other players, everyone was fantastic, but it seemed like a lot of the players were reaching down and moving the arm a lot. But the pitch wasn't changing all that much. And that's because the Bigsby arm, I don't know if you can see this, the Bigsby arm is wiggling a lot more than the actual spring is. So every time these people were pressing the arm down, it wasn't really doing a whole lot. And that's another aspect of Bigsby setup that you need to be aware of, because there's a little bolt in here that's holding the arm on. And that bolt, when it's not screwed down tightly enough, will just allow the arm to pivot around instead of directly and quickly actuating the spring beneath it. So that is something I'm going to work on. That's not ideal. That's just a setup quirk, and some people like their arms to be loose. That's fine. I'm not criticizing that. I just want a little more action out of this vibrato. That's the other symptom of the arm being so wobbly, is I'm just going to hit the guard with my knuckles. So we are also going to put a spacer, probably a penny in the bottom there, and that'll get that arm off the body just a little bit more. So aside from setting this up with 11 gauge strings and tightening that arm to get a little bit more action out of it, as well as breaking the spring in as I've shown on the channel before, where I step on it 30 to 40 times just to really compress it and get the kinks worked out, I think lubrication and we'll be good. Now, I am a huge fan of the original 60s Harmony Silhouettes. They're some of my favorite cool guitars from the 60s, and they get a bad rap for playability and tuning stability and all of that, but like most guitars from that era, they just need a setup. That's all they ever need, and they work beautifully. So while this is a much more refined and modern take on the Silhouette thing, I think it fits right in, and I really do appreciate what they've done to bring the brand into a higher upper echelon of guitar quality. But again, I'm biased, let's get that out of the way. But I do honestly and truly like what they're putting out. Now, as far as reviewing this, I do plan to do it, but not until I've spent at least a few weeks with it. I want to make sure that I put this thing through its paces so that I can speak intelligently and completely on what this guitar does, what it sounds like, what it works for, and how it fits into my stable of instruments. So we'll come back around very soon. Anyway, I'm really excited about this guitar, and I'm going to plug into the Line 6 Helix and take it for a spin and see what you think. Like I said, I won't be pronouncing any judgments here, I won't be giving full opinions, but I will give you some sound samples so that you can hear it and judge for yourself. Let's talk about this moment. Now, you may notice that the Bigsby seems to be sticking in 2 or 3 places within the range of its travel, and that's no good for tuning stability. Now, I assumed that the subtle nature of the Bigsby B5 was mainly due to the arm being loose, and that's something that I solved immediately, and it did improve the feel, the action, and the range of the vibrato. A lot of people think Bigsbys are just meant to be subtle, and that isn't so. They can do a lot more than people give them credit for. But when it came to the sticking issue, I initially assumed that that was a matter of lubrication. Perhaps this Bigsby was not properly lubricated, things were sticking internally. So I took the guitar over to the bench and I put some 3-in-1 on the bearings themselves, hoping that that would free up the vibrato. However, that didn't work at all. And it was at this point that I encountered a problem with this Bigsby that I have never seen before. Now, I can't claim to be the first one to discover this. I'm sure other people have seen this happen before, but for me, it was brand new and surprising. The reason that this Bigsby was sticking so much is actually because of a poor fit between the... what is it called? Yes, the tuning stability issues I was experiencing were due to a poor cast on the arm base. That's the bit that the arm actually attaches to. I'm not sure if you can tell, but in this photo, before I worked on it, the base of the arm as it connects to the string anchor bar was actually getting wider toward the back of the vibrato. This means that when depressing or wiggling the arm, this was grinding metal against metal and ultimately catching in a few places, resulting in the unit's inability to return to zero. You can see in the video that I was struggling to get the arm to balance out, and once I discovered the true issue, it was only a matter of grinding away some metal to change the shape of the arm base. I used a coarse file to grind away excess material, something like 1/16 of an inch, not a whole lot, but just enough to make a difference. I also removed the taper of that bit of the arm base, making sure that it stayed the same thickness throughout its entire length. And sure enough, when I finally reinstalled it, the result is perfect. This vibrato works exactly as it should now. So yes, I found a problem. All I know is that it took a little extra work to get this guitar performing the way that I hoped it would. But hopefully this can be instructional to owners of the Harmony Silhouette with a Bigsby, or anybody who has a Bigsby that seems to be catching in a few specific places. This may be your problem. And to be sure, I'm not just reporting this issue to you. I have already emailed my contact at Harmony with an all-cap subject line, "I found a problem!" And hopefully they appreciate it. I don't know. I don't know what to expect for the response. Patting my own self on the back for a moment, I feel like I am very good at what I do, and I'm very proud of myself for staying up late and figuring out this issue, because in the morning, I am greeted with a wonderful guitar that totally works. And listen to this. This is just what it should do. right, that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you coming back to the channel again and again. Thank you for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for subscribing, for doing all of that good stuff that makes YouTube very happy and sends people my way. I appreciate it. Also, a special shout out to my supporters on Patreon. I appreciate you so much. You are the best people in the world, and I say that without irony. I love talking to you. Thank you for having such a great community building up around what I'm doing here. In any case, I hope this was educational and informative, and if you're looking for the Harmony Silhouette with a Bigsby, you are in luck, friends, because it's out there and it exists. And I can't wait to get more familiar with this new friend of mine. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next video.